I'm gonna review a G1 episode. It's happening. The episode, or rather pair of episodes, is called Crunch the Rockdog, but it's actually a story about Wind Whistler. If you haven't figured out why I'm reviewing this particular episode already, you're probably new here. So the episode starts with Paradise reading a story in which the protagonist's love interest is implied to die at the end. Wind Whistler asks a practical question about logistics while the others are all tearing up. This leads to an exchange that I'll just show rather than summarizing.
I fail to understand this display of sentiment. It is just a story after all.
Wind Whistler, it's too bad you weren't around when the feelings fairy was passing out feelings.
I do have feelings.
Now, I've heard it said before that the G1 ponies are always mean to each other, and I don't think that's true, but I think that rumor started here, because that was brutal. And it seems in character. Gusty is often mean. Buttons? I don't know. Buttons is like the one pony who never got a personality. She shows up a lot, but I can't think of any defining quirks or consistent character traits, which is pretty rare for a G1 pony. So is this in character for her? I guess. But I want to talk about Wind Whistler. She is visibly shattered by their accusations.
I have feelings. I merely refrain from expressing them at the drop of a hat.
Oh. Okay, can we just stop and appreciate how gorgeous this shot is? I think these are some of my favorite frames in all of G1. It's just so pretty. But anyway, if you had watched the show in order up to this point, you would know why she's so shattered by her friends' teasings. She's always been a bit of an outsider. Ponies have trouble understanding her verbose way of speaking, and she seems to be closer to Megan than a lot of the ponies that she's presumably known for longer. But despite that, she values her friends more than anything. She shows a consistent pattern of risking her life for them, and she even said that friendship is the most important treasure there is. So when her friends turn on her like that, she is understandably distraught. Now, enter Crunch the Rockdog. I won't go into much detail about him, but let's just say he's the bad guy for this episode. It's against the backdrop of the danger he presents that the conflict between Wind Whistler and the other ponies worsens. When Wind Whistler asks the others to please remain calm, it seems to Gusty that she feels the same apathy towards this real-life situation that she displayed towards the storybook, and she reiterates that Wind Whistler has no feelings. This is an interesting exchange because Wind Whistler's ability to keep cool when the others are losing their heads is invaluable to the whole group. She's saved the day by thinking coolly under pressure when the others let their emotions get the better of them. This is probably why Wind Whistler chooses not to express her emotions at the drop of a hat. There are a lot of hot-headed ponies in their group, such as Gusty, and the others need her to be this way. They just haven't realized it yet. The ponies don't reconcile before Gusty risks her life in a ploy for time that results in her being turned to stone, which is, by the way, a killer cliffhanger as far as this show goes. And I like this turn of events because it shows that Gusty isn't irredeemable. She's mean, but she's brave. However, the situation with Buttons, and now Truly, only gets worse when this happens.
She is beyond help. Logic clearly dictates that we save ourselves.
Gosh, Wind Whistler, how could you just go off and leave poor Gusty? What else would you expect from somebody with no feelings, Buttons?
Now, I think the parallels with Spock become apparent here. Star Trek was quite popular at the time, and I do think Spock served as an inspiration for Wind Whistler, although she's far from being a carbon copy. Now, after this chase scene is done, we meet a pretty cool character, his elevated eminence. He's a sentient mountain. Tell me that's not cool. This is one of the things I love the most about G1. The world is mysterious and expansive and whimsical. You can truly run into anything in Ponyland. Anyways, I'm going to skip forward to the climax of the story. After being berated by her friends, Wind Whistler risks everything for them once again. In an attempt to trick Crunch into trusting her, she pretends to turn against her friends, spitting that,
I've been surrounded by these romantic idiots for so long, it is refreshing to find one such as yourself.
Tragically, the ponies completely believe her ruse. But Megan knows that Wind Whistler has a plan. She successfully brings Megan close enough to Crunch to bring him the heart which his creator, his elevated eminence, intended for him to have. The episode ends with Truly, Buttons, and Gusty making restitution with Wind Whistler. And what do I think of this episode overall? It's brilliant. I basically spoiled the whole story because I wanted you to see the nuance of the conflict that Wind Whistler faces. The thing that matters most to her is her friends, but she's an introverted, maybe even know-it-all pony that the others find off-putting at times. When her friends turn on her, what can she do? Well, she does what she always does and lays everything on the line for them. This pony is loyalty incarnate. This episode isn't perfect. The songs aren't good, and I find it weird that Crunch seems to take sadistic joy in being malicious when he's supposed to have no feelings. And on the first watch, it's not completely immediately clear exactly what Wind Whistler's plan was, which is especially thrown off by the fact that Crunch actually does see Megan holding the heart a little before she gets there, so she actually has to chase him down, and that kind of makes us ask, did Wind Whistler really need to trick him in the first place? I definitely would have done this differently if I had been in charge of the whole episode, so it was clear exactly what Wind Whistler's plan was and that it worked. But despite these problems, this pair of episodes accomplishes so much in just 20 minutes. This is actually what sold me on G1. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Peace out.